Hello, beautiful beings. You are live. Sorry, you're watching Vegan Pixie Warrior. I'm Rebecca, and this is Ayrton. He's that way. I did it right.
Yeah.
Just let us know if you can hear us, and I will say hello to the people in the chat. So we've got the 40-year-old vegan from Canada. Thanks for watching. The vegan Mooncat. Hello, Mooncat. Thanks for coming along. Level Joy, the beautiful Level Joy. And we've got Anna Howard. Anne Howard, thank you very much for coming on, sweetheart. She's so lovely. Just let us know in the chat if you can hear me. Ah, brilliant. So Anne Howard said she can hear us. Hello, Vegan Something. Thank you for coming. So, Ayrton, I want to welcome you and thank you very much for coming on to my live stream tonight.
Thanks for having me.
How are you doing?
I'm very well. Yeah, we've had a very busy few weeks with work, as you can see.
Yeah, so, you've been really busy, which we will definitely get into on the chat. So anyone who doesn't know, can you let them know what you do and who you work for, please, Ayrton?
Sure, yeah. So I work for Animal Justice Project. So hopefully you will have seen some of our work, predominantly our investigations. So, you know, what we're talking about today is we've just released the biggest big calf investigation. So if you've seen anything recently about calves, specifically, unfortunately, calf slaughter, so that's Animal Justice Project. And I manage the campaigns which, you know, encompasses the investigations as well.
So you're their campaign manager. And how long have you worked for the Animal Justice Project?
A couple of years now, I think. That's a very good question. I think it's a couple of years now. Yeah.
And can you give us some history of how the Animal Justice Project started? You know, what was the story behind that, if you know it?
Yeah, I think it might be 3 years, actually. This last year has just zoomed by, hasn't it? But I think it's probably 3 years this July, actually. But yeah, so Animal Justice Project was founded back in 2014, so way before I joined the group. So predominantly they were all about vivisection. So some people came together and wanted to create a group that tackled vivisection, you know, post-Shack era. And one of the big focuses especially was on universities, because with animal experimentation, approximately half of it still to this day takes place at university campuses. So as a group, we still do campaign against vivisection, but we have been moving more and more towards animal agriculture, especially with our investigations.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so they created many different campaigns. So most of those campaigns are actually still running. So if you do go on our website, you'll see we've got various ones. So Campus Without Cruelty. So that's specifically trying to get students to, you know, not take part in animal experimentation, because many degrees, you know, you can end up going down that route. I could have gone down that route if I wanted to. Clearly, I was never going to, because I studied zoology, but animal experimentation could have been part of that as well.
What I'll do is, actually, now you've mentioned it, I'll just share the website. And I'll go through some of the campaigns that you've got, and you can just tell us a little bit about them.
Yeah, we break them down into veganism and vivisection. So much of the veganism side of things is our undercover investigations.
Okay. So there's been quite a few.
Yeah, we have a lot. So all of this veganism section as well. So all of this has come about since I joined the group. So I came on board to start doing the vegan side of the campaigns. So when I first joined, it was only, well, it was 99% vivisection that all of the work was. So basically, since I've joined, I've kind of, managed all of the veganism side of things. And you can see as it just grows and grows every year as we do more campaigns and investigations. So yeah, if you look at the campaigns, this has taken you to our microsite. So we have a few different microsites where we put our investigations onto. So we have this one, which is called The Foul Truth. So this is all of our bird work.
Okay.
So if you hover over,
sorry, I'll go back to it. Sorry.
No, You can stay on this one if you want.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you have a look here, under campaigns and under veganism.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can see we've got the Foul Truth chickens, the Foul Truth ducks. So we launched the Foul Truth by investigating higher welfare chickens. So we actually did an investigation at RSPCA assured, like meat chickens.
Yeah.
So these are the top of the top meat birds that you can find on the market. And of course, you know, our findings just reflected conditions just as bad as any intensive farm. So we basically want to show, you know, the higher the welfare, majority of the time it doesn't really make much of a difference.
No,
So yeah,
I mean,
it
says here RSPCA in red chapter. So
yes, it was very, very disturbing. So this was our first ever animal agriculture investigation. So yeah, we started off in the deep end, I think, by going in the highest welfare possible. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately for the chickens, you know, it did show, you know, there was horrendous conditions, there was terrible abuse from the workers. I mean, it's the same with any investigation, really.
Yeah. I mean, I was at, I had the pleasure of being at Pear Tree Animal Sanctuary last month, and they had some meat chickens there that were rescued. I think there were 6 weeks in October, so they're only 6 months old, and they are huge, absolutely massive. I've never seen chickens that size before.
Yeah, broiler chickens can barely walk. It's really, really sad.
Yeah,
you have to keep
waddling.
them on very strict diets for their own health, which in itself could be quite frustrating for the birds at times, because they seem to have, it's kind of like with certain breeds of dogs, they seem to have been bred into them that they constantly eat. And you'll find that with the broiler chickens. So you have to really restrict their food so they don't get continually put on weight, because basically that's what they've been bred for. It's to get to a 2 kilogram chicken within less than 6 weeks. It's as early as 4.5, 5 weeks old sometimes.
Yeah, it's horrendous. I'm just going to pop up this one question, but I should have said earlier, if we can leave all questions to the end, and we will do an open Q&A at the end. But so Kane wants to know if that was a red chapter farm, that particular chicken farm.
So the chicken farm was RSPCA assured. So something you should know. So red tractor, most farms in the UK are red tractor. It doesn't really mean anything. It's just more of a logo that you can put onto the packaging of the animal products. Red tractor, of course, have their standards, but they're set by themselves and they're set by the farming industry. So if you actually look into red tractor standards, they're very minimal, very basic, don't cover majority of things. You basically have to meet the very minimum needs that is terrible for the animals, whether it's red tractor or not. But yeah, so those chickens were the highest welfare meat birds that you can find in this country. So if you have a look on there, I think even the it's a few years ago now, but I think even the company we investigated was called, they were literally called like Free Range Chickens Limited. It's a complete joke, because they were supposed to be free range. Yeah. And we filmed them in the first half of their lifespan. They never got to go outside once. You know, they had lighting left on for, well, I can't quote the exact amount, but it was about 2 days straight they had lighting left on for, because that encourages them to eat and they get fatter more and the farmer makes more profit. I mean, you can look at the investigation findings yourself. I don't want to talk about abuse constantly, but
yeah, no, totally.
Obviously, investigation comes to abuse.
I've popped the link in the chat for everybody so they can have a look at that. And I did put a link to the Animal Justice website in the description, so you can find it there. So, whereabouts is Animal Justice Project based in the world? I know this answer, but can you let everyone else know? Yeah,
so we're here in the UK. We all actually work remotely, so we don't have a central hub as such, but we have people in. So I'm up in Nottingham. I'm the furthest north, and then we have another team member in Nottingham as well. We have people down in Kent, down in Brighton, down in Bristol, and near London. So we're quite all spread out, actually. How does that work with you all being spread out like that? Because I know working remotely since lockdown, I really miss being in the office and having that camaraderie and things. How do you cope with that? I guess kind of hard to answer really, because I've never really had anything to compare to, like working like in this group. Like we were never office based ever. We've kind of always worked remotely. But I mean, we're all around every day. We kind of, we're constantly messaging and on group calls and discussing things and making group decisions. So yeah, I think it works really well, and it's great to commute. Literally, my bedroom's next door. I literally just have to walk next door, and that's my day starting. So it gives you a bit more time in the morning as well, because I wake up really early as well, so I can go out and dog walk, and then have probably another hour in the morning before I start. So. Yeah,
I work flexi time, so I'm quite lucky. But I start work at 7:30, and I literally walk downstairs into the kitchen and log in. So
yeah, it's great. I think a lot of people over the last year have realised kind of how easy it can be to work from home, and we have that benefit. So yeah, I really like it. I do.
I've just seen another question, and it's the last one I'm going to pop up if we can wait until the end. But Adam from UK Vegan Family said, "Do you need any Worcester-based? Do you need a Worcester-based hub?"
Of course, we need more and more people all the time.
Definitely.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, help us out. Let us know. Email us. See how you can help.
Yeah, there are ways to get involved. There's so many things that you guys do that anyone can do, whether you're working or volunteering. So it's very rare that you guys have jobs come up. I know, because I've been I'm constantly watching to have a look.
Yeah, that's the thing as well. So we are, we're a very small team.
Yeah.
So we're kind of a core team of, 5 or 6 of us. And that's it. So, and that's basically, to manage investigations, campaigns, the fundraising side of things, the communications, the shop, the design work. There's so many things kind of you don't really think about, I guess, when you talk about animal rights, but all of these things, obviously, we have to be able to sustain ourselves. So
yeah, definitely. I don't know how you do it with just 5. I'm over when just doing my YouTube channel on my own and managing my Instagram account. I feel like I need someone to help me. I've set myself up a schedule now for my Instagram, so I know what I'm doing every day. Yeah,
I think we're really lucky. Yeah, we have obviously social media as well. That's a huge part of our communications as well. So yeah, I think we're really lucky as a group, because although there's only a small number of us, we're hugely dedicated, and this is what we all live for. So we're really lucky, actually.
The reason I brought you on tonight was to talk about your latest campaign, which is the Dairy Still Kills campaign.
Yeah.
So do you want to tell people what inspired that campaign?
For anyone that follows us, you'll see that last year, around, I think it was in July, we launched our first investigation that was about calves. So we looked into the rearing and fattening of calves. And the reason that we chose to do that was because, amongst vegan groups and, even activists, a big chunk of people still believe that male dairy calves are killed on the farm. So when we talk about dairy, especially, if we're on the streets and, discussing why people, should ditch dairy, one of the biggest things that people tend to say is that it's because the male calves are shot, and obviously that's not fair, as well as all the exploitation of the mothers. But the industry has been changing for quite many years now. And when you actually look at the statistics, so back last year, the statistic we were then working with was that there was 95,000 calves being shot on farm. But we know that there's way over 1 million calves. There's nearly 2 million born every year in the UK. So compare to, let's say 1 million for ease, compare that to 95,000. If say that's 100,000, that's only 10% of these calves that are actually being shot, and approximately 50% will be male. So that's another 400,000. That nobody's talking about. So we wanted to investigate where these calves are going. So we investigated over a 5-month period again. So it was a really long, in-depth investigation at 2 different farms. So we looked at the rearing side. So this is where the calves go and whilst they're on milk. So this is for the first 2 to 3 months of their lives. And then they're moved on to fattening farms. So we looked into, at the time, it was a 0 grazing farm. So these, the cattle there never got to go outside. They were just in their pens. It was kind of, and it was a mega farm as well. So mega farms as such had never been investigated before in the UK. Neither
Well, it's
had
just
this
not something
industry.
you think of, is it? You mega farms, you think of the States, you don't think of the UK. And it's the farm you're talking about. Is that the one we went to in, was it October, September,
It was,
October? Yeah.
yeah,
And
July
I
and
can't believe the size of it. It was huge.
Yep, they, you know, at the time of us investigating, they were rearing over 4,000 every single year. So these are American-style farms. So it's just showing you that the dairy and the beef industries, the intensification of them is increasing, the size, the scale of them is increasing, and we're kind of slowly starting to match the American style ones as well, like the big feedlots. And this farm was pretty much set out like a feedlot, so it had just the big concrete pens outside. You know, not all of them even had access to shelter. And yeah, basically they're fed on high concentrate feed to basically get them as fat as possible in the short amount of time, and then they kill them from about 12 months old, which compared to a regular beef farm, that's 50% younger than what they may kill them, because they may kill them at 18 to 24 months old. That's kind of more traditional age, whereas these were going for 12 to 18, and because they were feeding a high concentrate and basically they couldn't go out and graze naturally, they just got fatter faster. So we investigated that side of the industry. And then in December, we learned that the figure of 95,000 had actually, the latest figure is about 60,000 male calves. That's not necessarily per year. That's an average that the industry has put out over 3 different years. So that's, I think it was like 2017, 2018, and 2019, possibly. So the average of those male calves on the farm being shot was about 60,000. But over the last year and a half, different supermarkets, assurance schemes, dairy companies, Arla, Muller, for example, have all been implementing these new schemes. They've been bringing out these new bull calf policies where they're saying to their farmers, by a certain date, you're no longer allowed to shoot healthy male calves on the farm, so they're having to find alternatives. So because the industry is changing in this way, and Red Tractor are doing it as well, so by the end of this year, Red Tractor are wanting all their farmers to also not be killing these male dairy calves. So within a few years, nearly all male dairy calves are no longer going to be shot on farm, apart from these smaller independent dairy farms where they can do what they want because they're not held by contracts. So we wanted to find out where the calves are going, because obviously majority of them, the big bulk of them, are going to these rearing and fattening systems. So these dairy calves are basically turning into beef for somebody's plate. So that's why with that campaign we kind of had the tagline that dairy equals beef, because they've integrated into the same industry. They're so heavily reliant on each other. So we then looked into something that has never been looked into before, and that's the calf slaughter. So that's when these young calves are being sent into a slaughterhouse to be killed rather than being shot on the farm. And this is because although most of them are suitable for fattening, unfortunately, there's still a very small percentage that won't be. And there's calf dealers out there, like the one we investigated, that their whole business is around going to markets, buying these surplus dairy calves and pretty much taking them straight to the abattoir to be killed to make a profit.
And this is the video that's come out recently as well, and your latest campaign, Dairy Still Kills. So I'm going to do a trigger warning for everybody. This is going to be upsetting. Some of you might have seen it before. I know that Peace with Reese has shared it on his channel. UK Vegan Family has shared it on theirs. I've also shared it on mine. So this is going to be upsetting. So I apologize. And just letting you know that this is a trigger warning. I'm going to mute us both so that people can hear it. Can everyone see that? Yeah, you can see that. What I'll do is I'll take us off the screen. Oh, wrong one. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Actually, I didn't put the sound on. 1 minute. I'll get the hang of this live streaming one day. 1 minute.
I can hear sound in the background.
Yeah, you'll hear it, but they won't hear it on the thing. So I've got to do it again. I always do this. I will get share
I'm not great
audio.
with technology.
I'm
I hope you
getting
can't
there.
hear the weather outside, by the way. It's absolutely throwing it down.
Yeah, I can hear the weather on my side as well. Right, I'm going to mute us both.
Oh, I can't hear you.
There you go. Now you can hear me.
Okay,
I turned my mic off as well. It's so hard to watch that footage, but I feel like vegans need to watch things like that to kind of give us a kick up the ass to get out there and do something. But there's 5 of you on the team. What sort of work and like man time hours goes into this form of campaign, this style of campaign?
I don't even know where to start to quantify, but it's a lot. So as I said earlier, like this investigation was spread over 5 months as well. You know, so we looked into the markets. We went inside markets. We did drone footage of markets. You know, we had cameras up inside Oakland's livestock centre. So that's the calf dealer. So that's the company that is going to these markets to buy these young calves. They do send a lot of them to rearing farms, but then they do send a lot to slaughter as well. And then obviously we had, cameras up in the slaughterhouse as well. So you that makes it stretch over quite a long period because, you know, we do film quite a lot and then try and narrow it down. But yeah, I mean, processing the footage takes hours and hours, as you can imagine, because, you know, that's a nearly 6-minute film that is. But that probably took me about 2 weeks to create that, just the initial script of that video, because we have days and days and days of footage and we try and narrow it down. But I mean, we do have quite a good process between, 2 or 3 of us, but yeah, it's a lot of work that goes into it. But, you know, we just keep in mind, and, you know, hopefully it will change some people's opinions and they'll stop consuming animal products. And to vegans as well, it will hopefully get them active and join our events, go do your own events, because we do need to be active for the animals to show this to people as well.
Exactly. That, that's kind of like my tag for my channel is like, get active, get out there and do something.
100%.
Yeah. And Howard, I agree. Like, cows are my favorite animal now. They weren't before I was vegan, but they are now. And seeing them treated like that, I mean, they're babies. They're literally, they're children. And it just breaks my heart. Like, I'm trying not to swear too much.
So the calves in that footage are the ones that are entering the slaughterhouse. We have looking at the ages, because obviously with any cattle, they all have to have proper paperwork because of, disease spread like TB. They all have their own passport basically with all their information on. So we know the ages of those calves, and the youngest calf to enter that slaughterhouse was only 9 days old. But bearing in mind, they can only get their passport from 7 days old. So that means that they can then, be transported and sold. So
9 days.
Yeah, 9 days old. So if they got that passport straight away at 7 days old, just think of those, those 2 days that calf has had. They've gone from a farm through a market, through a dealer, transported again to slaughter, all in 2 days. And yeah, it's really upsetting, but I think hopefully it will change people's minds. And I think the other side of this campaign is that we wanted to try and bring some of our information within the vegan and activism movement a bit more up to date. So we want to move away from these, the number of calves shot on farm, which is obviously still heartbreaking, and it's still very much relevant because some will still be shot on the farm. But that's why we called the campaign Dairy Still Kills, because it went in national media that these companies and supermarkets are implementing these schemes to prohibit the shooting on farm. And even within the vegan community, people thought it was a massive success. But if you don't shoot them on the farm, where are they going to go? They're still going to be born. They're still going to be, reared.
They're still going to be taken from their mother. And yeah, I mean, I had no idea until I went to the Mega Farm event last year and listened to your speech.
Yeah.
That happened. I didn't know. And I mean, I don't know if any other vegans know. Maybe I was just naive. I had no idea that happened. And these poor babies at that Mega Farm, you could see they were anemic from not being with their mother. Their tongues were white. And they were sucking on our hands, and it was just absolutely heartbreaking. But
really
you did have some success with that Mega Farm. So I did ask, I've got a question coming up for this campaign, but with the Mega Farm, can you just let people know the success you've had with that one?
So with that one, after we released it in the media, they had quite a few links with different abattoirs or slaughterhouses, and then they had links with different supermarkets. So pretty much all of them dropped the farm. So straight off, that was all of them gone. The other side of it was they were basically they had contracts with other companies to keep other cows there, other bulls and cows there, with 2 other companies. So they pulled their contracts as well. So that was a huge loss to the actual farmer himself. But yeah, so.
What's the reaction? Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, we do take those as, campaign wins, because it is. And it does make us, it makes the work worthwhile. But obviously I think the biggest thing with that is that it was in all the national newspapers as well, and various radio, and it was all in their local papers and local radio too. So, a lot of people know about these farms. So hopefully a lot more people know that mega farms are here in the UK. Hopefully a lot more people know that, these calves actually get fattened up. And the biggest target actually for that campaign and this campaign is speaking with vegetarians, because that's why we called it Dairy Still Kills, and previously we called it Dairy Equals Beef, because you can't consume dairy without fueling the beef industry. It's impossible.
It is completely impossible. Yeah. It's like the whole egg industry as well. Vegetarians think that I could never understand. I've said this before on another podcast with somebody else. Even before I was vegan, I had a vegetarian friend, and I could never understand it. So it's because she would have a leather coat, and I'm like, so it's okay to wear the animal for fashion, but it's not okay to eat them for substance. And this is before, I was a full-on meat eater, and had no idea what was going on. But I could never get my head around vegetarianism. I just thought, well, if you're going to do that, why not go the whole way and go vegan? I just couldn't get my head around it.
Yeah,
I find that. So go on.
Because I think people just see eggs and dairy as byproducts, even though they're not. It's the main product of that industry. There's a whole egg industry, there's a whole dairy industry. But I think people still see them kind of as byproducts, especially with like leather and wool and feathers and things like that as well. People do see them all as byproducts, but if there's money to be made, it's never a byproduct.
No, exactly.
I mean, we know it's not a byproduct, so.
It campaigns outside, anti-fur shops and stuff is great, but I think we need more campaigns that are like outside Edinburgh Wool or a leather shop as well. I think we need to, because wool's more worn than fur, definitely.
Yeah.
So more. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say that. So those calves that we, filmed being killed in that slaughterhouse, the flesh of those calves will be consumed by people, so people do eat them. A lot of it may go into kebab meats. So people think kebab is actually just lamb, but it's not. A lot of it is calf meat, but people are just completely unaware. So people going to buy a kebab at the weekend, after you've been to the pub, a lot of it is calf meat as well. It's usually a mixture of, various different meats. but a bulk of it may be calf meat, 9-day-old calves. And then, you know, some of it may be exported overseas as well, because different countries in Europe will eat calves kind of as the meat, you know, kind of as, you know, a lot of other countries
like
will
a
eat
treat sort of
veal.
thing.
Yeah, they still eat veal. They see calf as, it's classed as a white meat, because it's a lot softer because they're babies. And then, yeah, the leather, the skin is used as leather here in this country. There's a place not far from me that uses calf skin all the time. And calf skin leather, you know, it's seen as a more luxurious product, isn't it?
This is all such important stuff to know. I'm going back out on the streets in a month's time to do street activism, and I'm just like trying to soak up all of this information that you're giving me, because there's so much I wasn't aware of.
Yeah, we found out a lot of information over these last few investigations, and I think that kind of one of the hardest things that we face is we have so much information, and we could have said so much more. It's kind of narrowing it down to kind of saying the most important parts and what's going to be the most effective. It's like in the investigation, you know, we've not focused at all where the meats go in. Well, you know, the dead calves are going, where the skins go in. You know, it's briefly mentioned. That's because there's so much horrific abuse and the slaughter. They have to be the two biggest things that we talk about. But, you know, it does then allow us to, you know, use that information and do more with it in the future.
And what sort of reaction have you had to this latest campaign with this video that's gone out in the last couple of weeks?
Do you mean like public or kind of like what's happened?
Public and press, and I mean I've seen Claire's been in a few done a few articles with some newspapers, but has it been, you know, have you had support from people?
Yeah, so it's been really great actually. So I think with this investigation, this has been the biggest reach that we've ever had.
Yeah.
So we've had so many different activists and influencers, which we're so grateful for, share it on their own platforms. You know, some of these people have tens of thousands of followers. You know, we do as an organization, we have a lot of followers as well. But, you know, getting a broader range of people from all around the world, we had people share it, you know, literally in so many different countries. You know, the Cranky Vegan, he spoke about our investigation as well, literally the day after it launched on his 3 Minute Thursdays. So that was amazing. I'm always so happy when that happens. But yeah, then obviously we got in them all in the media. So we was in Daily Mail, the BBC, we got on BBC Radio, we got on BBC TV as well. I think that's actually a first for our group as well. That's the first time we've ever had an investigation reach the TV. Yeah, Claire did an interview for that, so it was absolutely fantastic. So, you know, from all these different places, from influencers on Instagram and, you know, YouTubers like yourself, and being on the radio, you know, media everywhere, hopefully we've reached possibly hundreds of thousands of people with the messaging. Really hope
Fingers
so.
crossed. What I'll do is, because you've got a YouTube channel as well, which has so much of your footage on there. And I'm always surprised by how little everything's watched on your channel. It's fab. I can't understand it. Because
yeah, so we use both YouTube and Vimeo. And I think that's possibly why, because so when we put, like, if you look on our different investigation pages, all of the videos on there are kind of like embedded from Vimeo. So if you go onto our Vimeo channel, you know, some of them may have like a few thousand views, so it's a lot more than YouTube. But yeah, we do try and keep up with YouTube, and we put all of our investigation videos on YouTube. So
yeah, I think I've shared them, a few of them before as well. But I'll just pop the link in the chat so that everyone can go on that and subscribe to it, because that will help the algorithm and it will get it out to non-vegans as well. Hopefully, a bit more, push it up.
Yeah.
So, so what's the next one? So how do you decide on what campaigns you're going to do?
It's kind of a hard decision, really, because we kind of, you know, we obviously plan ahead. We plan ahead for a full year. So I come out a full plan for an entire year. You know, so we maybe know what we're doing this time next year, hopefully. But we try and keep as relevant as possible. So we try and adjust our plans with the changing industries. So like after the mega farm and the rearing and fitting side last year, when we then found out all of this new information towards the end of last year, we're like, right, we just need to go through it with the calf slaughter side of things. it's the first time it's ever been exposed. That's another thing we're trying to do. We're trying to look into these industries that have never been looked into before. So that's why we chose RSPCA short chickens, because that was the first time ever. When we've done Gressingham duck, that was the first full in-depth investigation into actual duck farming in the UK. And then obviously later on we did duck slaughter as well at Gressingham Duck 2. It was the first ever beef investigation, first ever mega farm investigation, first ever calf slaughter investigation. So that's kind of the route that we try and go down. We try and do something that also
like
maybe counteract
a new angle on things that people haven't thought of, and I think that's good.
The industry
keeps it fresh.
The industry changes so fast. Like, one of the biggest points of this message is that the dairy industry is changing. They change to meet what the public want. There's so much public backlash because of the shooting calves on farm, so they're implementing these policies to prohibit the shooting, but then not all of them prohibit sending calves to markets and to slaughter. So therefore we're going to investigate that and show that, and that'll increase the pressure on the industries to then ban that side of things as well. So we're an abolitionist group, so we want to end it all completely, but obviously it may naturally happen in steps. So
yeah, that's good to hear. It's like that you are abolitionist and you're a really inclusive group as well. Like the website's great. If you haven't checked it out, links in the description. But yeah, abolitionist is what I think we need more of that. And with regards to the campaigns that you've got, like the vivisection campaigns and the vegan campaigns, and I think the vivisection is still so important. I don't think there's enough focus on it.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So because I manage the campaigns and then we have another campaigner as well, but we both predominantly just work on the veganism side. So, well, not veganism, but like animal agriculture investigations and campaigns. But yeah, we don't actually specifically have anybody who works just on vivisection, which is why we don't, do a huge amount of vivisection compared to what we used to do.
Yeah.
But then saying that, was it a week and a half ago, all of our team members were out at World Day for Animals and Laboratories. We were in like 5 different cities at our local demonstrations with our local animal rights groups, because we're also passionate against vivisection as well, and as an organisation. So, we try and do as much as possible. We was at Portendown last year, was down in Salisbury.
Yeah, I saw Claire at the Bristol one. I was like chatting to her and tried to get her to come on camera and talk. She won't come on camera and talk. So I had to talk to Gordy instead, which is fine.
It's me that has to come onto the camera.
I don't know why. She's like,
I know, she's a great speaker. I don't know why.
Yeah, she is a great speaker. She does have. I think women. This is the problem with women in this movement. Like I had a massive struggle with doing a YouTube channel and putting myself out there. I think men tend to be more confident but Claire is fantastic. She's amazing. The work that she does is fantastic.
Exactly.
She's got charisma.
She has. And our organisation is female-led as well. Most of our team members are female. There's me and one other person that isn't, pretty much. Well, and we have another person who helps us too. But yeah, like our design is female, campaign is female, person who helps with like comms, fundraising, and obviously Claire, director.
Yeah,
it's
you look at some of the other ones, like Viva is led by a woman as well. Like, so there are loads of strong women out there. I just think we need to promote them more. Not that I'm not glad to have you on. I am glad to have you on.
No, honestly, I completely agree with you. That's why I love working for the group so much, because I think women are great.
Yeah. We need to lift each other up more.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
You have like ongoing campaigns all the time. How can people find out about how to get involved and volunteer with you?
The biggest thing is probably our social media. So, we're on all of the usual ones, so Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We post multiple times every day on all platforms. That's one of our big things, get as much information out there as possible. With our investigations as well. So through social media, we break it all down as well. So, we might have a big launch week where we're kind of really, getting the content out there. But then, as hopefully you'll see, for the last 2 or 3 weeks, we're still rolling the content out there, because as I said, there's so much information to put out there that we can then use social media to do that. And then obviously we've got our website as well, which you've shown. That links to our different microsites. So we've got the expired microsite, the Foul Truth microsite, and Lifeline microsite. And then if you go to our website, sign up to our newsletter as well. It's not just a standard, monthly newsletter. We send everything out on there. So, the day that we're going to launch an investigation, you'll be the first to know, because you'll get the email and all the information before it's posted on social media.
Yeah. And you had a great online campaign during lockdown as well, which I was a part of. That was great. Tell people a little bit about that.
Which one?
The one that was going on to like flooding Boris Johnson's Facebook page and stuff.
Yeah, so we launched a new campaign. It was like last April or May time. So obviously with coronavirus and with lockdown and everything, and pandemics was very much what everybody was talking about. So we launched a campaign called Exposed, and the tagline was called Cost of the Pandemic. So between the cost of the pandemic, we wanted to talk about the cost to humans and the cost to animals as well, because we noticed a lot of people, the whole of the conversation was about the humans, which obviously that's incredibly important, and we'll talk about that as well. But we wanted to talk about, where pandemics come from, how it affects animals as well, and then link it on to how it affects us. So yeah, if you go on the website, you can find out all about that as well. We've still got a letter that you can sign, which goes directly to George Eustice, who's the environmental MP. But yeah, we held lots and lots of online rallies to promote the letter to Boris Johnson and to George Eustice. So we basically spam their social media on all platforms.
And the great thing about the campaign as well, like you'd pre-written it, so people didn't have to think about what they wanted to say. You could copy and paste it and just pop it on there, which is what I took part in that last year.
Yeah,
so I got your newsletter. So
yeah, we do the little tweet links as well. So like on the morning of rallies, online rallies, we always send them out by email. So you get those first as well if you sign up to our newsletter. Sign up to our mailing list, I should say. It's not just a newsletter. But yeah, those little tweet links, you literally just click them and then click the word tweet, and it's all pre-written. It has all the tags in, it has all the links. It's a really easy way to join in. You can literally do like 50 tweets within just a few minutes because we've pre-written them all.
Armchair activism. There is no excuse not to be active. If you can't get out because you've got disabilities, or you're protecting yourself from COVID, you could just sit there in your armchair on your phone and just copy, paste, done.
Yeah, there's so much. We always love to do online stuff, so it's inclusive to everybody. You can pick and choose what you want to do. You can come and join us at an event. We're back out doing a special 2-part event on Wednesday on the back of this investigation. It's our first big event since last year at Merrifields. Apart from World Day this year. Yeah. But yeah, there's so much you can do. We try and make it kind of easy and accessible as possible. We've always got petitions to sign. If you go to our website as well, we have an action centre. So that has all of the actions that we have live at any one point, all in one place. So you can just click one after another and sign every petition and letter that we've got.
And sign a petition, again, that's another form of activism as far as I'm concerned. All the links, by the way, for the website and the social media pages are all in the description. So just, if you're watching and you want to get involved, just go on there and check it out. And also, you're a charity as well. So how can people donate if they want to support you and help you continue this amazing work that 5 of you do, which I think is incredible? How can they do that? What are the ways they can donate?
Yeah, we're like completely reliant on on donations, and costs of investigations can mount up, especially if they're over a 5-month period, and then all of the processing afterwards. But yeah, you can go to our website. If you just go to the website, there's a donate section. We have fundraisers on Instagram. We have one that's live at the minute. So if you don't want to go to the website, pop to our Instagram page. You'll see our live fundraiser, and you can, give a bit there. Or, we always add donate buttons to our various posts on Facebook whenever it's relevant. Another great way as well, we've actually just released a load of new merchandise, which is all dairy related off the back of this investigation. So that's such a perfect way to help us fund our next investigations. Buy yourself a t-shirt, you get some great merch. It's organic, printed in this country. It's not polluting the environment horrendously. So you get a nice, gift for yourself or gift for somebody else, and you help fund our campaigns and investigations as well.
I'm all up for buying, this is from Defender of Animals. It says, my food didn't squeak or didn't beg for mercy. But all of their profits go to 2 different animal sanctuaries, which is fantastic. Yeah, and the same with everything that you get from your merch goes towards your campaigns and this really, really vital and important work that you're doing.
Yeah, and if people don't want to buy any merchandise, if you go to the website, you can join as a member. So you can get a membership pack, or if you literally don't want to receive anything, you can just standard donate. You can sign up to monthly donations. So that's something that's so important to our organization, is if we get people to, just give a little bit every single month, because then it helps us, gives us stability, and it helps us plan ahead, knowing that, if so many people are going to give next month, then we can plan ahead even more. So, and we're so grateful to everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Like a cost of a cup of coffee a month from Costa. That's it. That's all you have to do. It all adds up.
Yeah, so we'll try our very best to do the best with it.
Yeah. We'll open the floor up. So, because I've seen a couple of questions come up. So, Kane said, what percentage of cows and sheep are on the fields, and what percentage are in factories for how long? Do you know the answer to this?
Oh, that's a good question. It's completely different between the two industries. So I don't know the percentage, because the thing is, these change all of the time, and it depends on the time of year as well. And with cows, it depends if they're, being raised for meat or whether they're being raised for dairy. So you'll see that in spring and summer. So if you go out now, you'll see there's dairy cows in the fields, but they're kept inside, all of winter, some of autumn as well. But as we showed with our investigation last year, it's these zero grazing farms, the intensive farms for cows, are increasing in the UK. So, so many years ago, there was not a single one here, but they're increasing now, which basically they don't let, zero grazing farms do not let animals outside at all. So it's kind of how, battery hens are kept, and how broiler hens are kept, how they're all kept inside all the time. So that's kind of the way that industry is slowly going. And it's the same with dairy farms. You'll get dairy farms where it's completely zero grazing. They don't go outside to, graze on grass at all either. And then, with sheep, they're usually kept outside a bit more, but it doesn't, it certainly doesn't make the industry any less cruel.
No, I know the pigs is in the UK, I think it's 96% of pigs are kept indoors. The rest are free range or something. It's a very high number that are factory farmed with pigs, isn't it?
Yeah, so the way that they do it with pigs, they're very, very clever with their labeling. So obviously we're not going into a supermarket and looking at the packaging, but you'll see a lot of pig products do not say free range on them. They'll say usually outdoor bred or outdoor born or outdoor raised. So basically what that means is, if you go to places like Norfolk, you'll see so many pigs that are outside, and that's the big female pigs, and they'll give birth. They'll be in the little pen outside. You'll see the little arks that they've got. They'll be locked in there with their babies, and then the babies will get to go out for a bit. But as soon as those babies turn 6 weeks old, they're taken off the mum, and then they get moved to the indoor sheds, where there's probably no natural lighting, there'll be no bedding. It'll just be absolutely disgusting.
And that 6 weeks classes them as being outdoor.
Yeah, then they're probably going to be killed at about 5 months old, but they'll label it as outdoor reared or outdoor born, for example. They're very, very smart with their labeling, unfortunately. But yeah, I think it's about 3% of pigs live their whole lives outside to enter the food chain. Only
I knew it
3%.
was quite low.
I think about, from what I last read, I think about half of them are actually born outside in these systems that I just mentioned. But as soon as they turn 6 weeks, they're inside, which is absolutely horrible for them. And then those female pigs are then impregnated straight away, and they're just in that constant cycle of giving birth, having their babies taken away over and over again.
It's disgusting.
So people see animals out in these fields thinking they're having a great time, but
I'm not sure about sheep. I don't know, because you see so many sheep out and about. Like, I used to live in Devon, and the Dartmoor's just covered in, there's sheep everywhere.
Yeah, sheep are typically kept outside a lot more than any other animal. But I mean, they go through the same, they go through horrendous processes as well. Their babies taken away, and they're not given any respect that they.
None of these animals are. None of them. And my friend Plant Powered Radio. Sorry, spit that out. She's from Canada. Please check her channel out as well. She's lovely. She said, how can we reach those vegetarians who are stuck in their purgatory of unexamined life? I think sharing the footage is the easiest thing to do. Share it on your Instagram. I'm going to do a video about this later, but one little tip that I learned from another activist at the Animal Rights March in Bristol a couple of years ago was, when you're putting these posts on your Facebook page and Instagram, tag things like leg of lamb and roast beef and bacon, because that will bring those people that are, looking for how to cook a baby lamb, and it will bring them to your post. So that's what I would do. The same with vegetarians, like put, brie or cheese or something like that in there.
That works really, really well, especially on Instagram and Twitter. But yeah, I mean, we are trying our best to reach those vegetarians as well. I mean, that's why we're doing these investigations, to show that, dairy still kills. That's exactly what we're trying to show.
Any other questions for the lovely Ayrton, please? Let us know if you've got any more questions. So while we're waiting for the question to come up, I'm going to ask you a question I ask all of the activists that I interview in my normal interviews with them, is what would you say to vegans out there that are not active? What would you say to inspire them to get active?
I think if you call yourself vegan, then naturally you should be an activist. I think I started doing activism before I was vegan. So then by the time I was vegan, then it was just a natural thing that I was already doing. So like before I went vegan, I was kind of doing, I was already doing outreach events and things like that, but very niche things. So I was doing it against like the culling of grey squirrels, for example, and things like that. So obviously that takes place every day in this country. It's really hard, isn't it? Because when we put out campaigns and investigations like this, and when we see footage like this, I think a lot of people try and switch off. I think once people go vegan, they think, I don't have to watch that anymore, which, I'm not saying people have to watch all of these things, but at least, read the information that comes along with it. We're not asking you to watch slaughter footage. I understand how horrendous that is. I've been literally looking at it for months and months, and it's really not very nice. But, you can read the text that comes along with it. You can give it a share. Go join your local animal rights group, or, support an animal rights organisation, or just support any grassroots group that's out there. I mean, the more of us that gets out there, the faster the message is spread, and the faster we'll get to, the animal liberation bill that we're all here for. Yeah. So I think if we're just sitting, if people are, not everybody can come and do activism, but as we discussed earlier, there's so many different ways, and we try and make it as accessible as possible. We could do online side of things. If you really don't have confidence to get out on the streets, or you're just not able to, be an online activist, sign those petitions, share the petitions, share the footage, add in those tags to your posts, like you say. There's so many different things we can do. An activist is not just somebody who necessarily gets out on the streets, but, there's the online version, there's the street version, there's email your local MP, email these companies that are exploiting animals.
Yeah, wear a t-shirt. Yeah, sign a petition, and they do read them. I've got another question for you. Do you release unedited footage so we can make our own compilations?
We don't usually, no. So so the video that we watched, so that's our main full investigation. video. And then you'll see on our page as well, we make a load of smaller videos which specialize in the different specifics to try and get the information a bit more out there. So we've got a few more videos which are soon to come out from this investigation as well, but we have released a few already. So yeah, you'll see that we've released some that's specifically about the abuse at the markets, or we've released some which is specifically about the actual slaughter process. And yeah, we've got some more covering different areas coming out soon. But yeah, we don't tend to release the unedited versions, but we do try and put together compilations which make sense and will help educate in a specific area, hopefully, because I'm in charge of all those scripts. So hopefully they make sense to everyone.
I need you to help me. I need you to give me some editing tips. That's what I need, because I'm still struggling.
I can do the scripts, but not the technical.
Oh, you don't do the editing.
Oh no.
So you've got a thank you for all that you do. Amazing what you do, and the other members of your team have been able to accomplish. It's fantastic, isn't it, Girlio? It's just amazing.
Thanks, that's really lovely.
And then agree, vegan and activist should be a combination. I agree, definitely.
Yeah, so if you're vegan, you should be.
Yeah, being vegans
naturally come with it.
Exactly. Being vegans and non-action, it doesn't take much to do activism. And we've got a lovely YouTuber, Plant-Based Leon. What's your way for approaching people adamant that they won't change their ways? Do you have a way that works effectively for you, or maybe an out-of-the-box methods?
I think if you're on the street and you're talking to someone who's completely adamant, then I try and just stay calm and casual. I think that always works, because like if I show that I'm getting annoyed because they're not listening, or they're being stubborn, or they're trying to be jokey about the abuse that we're showing or something like that, then they'll just kind of ride off that, won't they? And they'll just continue to go down that route. But if you stay, composed and calm, and just keep making your points, because although they may not admit that they've taken them on board and listening, if they walk, when they walk away or on their, their journey home, they'd have heard what you're saying. I think as well, try and send them away with some resources if they're happy to take some. Give them the leaflets try and give leaflets that have extra resources on them as well. So website links, documentaries, videos to watch and things like that.
Agreed. And I think the trick I find is asking them questions, Plant-Based Leon, because people believe what they say, not what they're told. So if you're asking them, do you believe what is happening to these animals is wrong? What do you, why do you think we're doing this? And get them to give you the answers. That I find works well as well.
Yeah, try and find out what knowledge that they currently have, because as we know, a lot of members of the public don't really know much about animal agriculture at all, because the industry does so much to, put their propaganda out and kind of disguise the reality. But yeah, if you find out what they know, they might know more about where eggs come from, for example, and they may know nothing about dairy. So then you might choose to talk about dairy, because these people might not know that a cow even has to have given birth to produce milk. I think little facts like that will really stick with people. And when I first started doing activism, so I think it was maybe maybe 5 or 6 years ago, but somebody told me that, you're not going to win every battle talking to people on the street, because that was kind of my aim to begin with, which I've kind of learned doesn't really work. But they told me to imagine that, I don't know, it might sound odd to some people, but inside people's brains, they've got a little bucket. And each time you put a bit of information in there, it fills up slowly and slowly, and eventually it will be full. And then as soon as it starts to overflow, that's when it really hits, and that's when they'll change their behaviour, and they'll become vegan or reduce animal products. Yeah,
it's like the 100-point system, isn't there? There's that saying, there's 100 points, and it might be that your conversation with them is the last one that they needed, but you don't know who they're going to speak to next. Or veganism's so big now. So
exactly, like I have friends that have turned vegan from talking to activists on the streets. So it does work. It's not going to work with everybody. Other people, it might get them better if they see it on social media, or if they see it in the newspaper or on the TV. This is why between all of us, we have to take all these different approaches. As an organisation, we're doing the investigation and campaign side. But, other people, they might try and take, all the social media side, or get out on their streets in the local town, give out some leaflets, go post some leaflets through people's doors if you never actually want to speak to anybody.
And you can get leaflets from the Animal Justice Project website, just
yes,
putting that in
there. Yeah, and it's a great way, again, to help fund our investigations. So.
Yeah, and agreed. I've had people come back to me that I've spoken to on the streets and gone, "Oh, do you remember speaking to me? I've gone vegan." I was like, I'm always like flabbergasted when that happens.
Yeah, it's
and
really nice.
Yeah, even if it's just 1 or 2 people, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I think as well, like, if you're not confident speaking to people on the streets or going and doing any of that kind of activism, you can try and speak to your family or your friends. Because since I've gone vegan, like, my partner's now vegan as well for a few years. His parents, they've both gone vegan since, which is incredible. Quite a few of my friends have since gone vegan. So I'm very, 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 very fortunate now to be in a vegan bubble, because pretty much all my friends are vegan. Most of our family are now vegan. So
you're
incredibly fortunate.
Yeah, my
I'm
husband's
very fortunate,
vegan.
But I planted the seeds years ago.
Yeah, my husband's vegan, but I haven't managed to get any of my family or friends to go vegan.
Oh,
but
my side of the family, no. But we won't acknowledge that.
But yeah, I try and stay away from family and friends now. I'm like, I just can't do it, because I find it really hard work and really emotionally draining. So I tend to stick to, which is why I'm grateful to get back on the streets next month. Yes. So I cannot wait for that.
I think talking to family and friends can either be the easiest conversation or the hardest conversation. There's no middle ground ever.
No, never. And if Evelyn Ed and Gary Urosky can't get their family to go vegan, then there's no hope for the rest.
Yeah, I've never spoken directly to family about going vegan, and my side of the family, a few of them have definitely cut down a lot, and then my partner's side of the family, they just kind of gradually went vegan and they've stuck with it. So it's incredible.
I feel the same, girlie. I wish someone had talked to me earlier. I think if I'd have seen footage, I remember a friend asking me to watch Earthlings years and years ago, and I never did. And yeah, I kind of wish I'd watched it. I think I would have gone vegan a lot sooner. But now I've got this is the best thing about being an animal rights activist. You are not the only vegan in the village. I've got so many friends now that are vegan and activists, and it's brilliant. I love it. My whole new family.
Yeah, exactly. Most of my friends these days comprise of the very first activists that I actually met. It was quite a change, actually, because like we moved cities completely the same month that we went vegan. So then we kind of ended up in a whole completely different friendship group, and it's worked out incredibly, really. So
yeah, I've still got like my non-vegan friends and family, but I moved to Bristol it was coming up to 8 years ago, and I wasn't happy here, didn't like it at all. Went vegan 4 years ago this August, and then now I love it because I've got
it's great in Bristol as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
so lucky. Good. I mean, to be fair, like in Nottingham, we're very lucky here as well. So many. We have it was in the news lately about the new vegan butchers, because that's here in Nottingham. We have a vegan deli as well that's been here for a couple of years that does all the vegan markets.
I'm not jealous at all.
No, we have like multiple places. We're so lucky. We have a vegan market every 2 weeks.
There's just no excuse, is it? It's so easy to be vegan now. You're joining at the end. Just check out this YouTube channel as well, Julius, because there's some beautiful footage on there. Some beautiful little beans.
And animal rescue.
Yeah, really cute channel. So has anyone got any more questions? And if not, we will get Ayrton's final thoughts and we'll wrap it up. But I've really enjoyed talking to you. You are so late. You did say we'd get a cat.
My cat arrived just at the end.
We've got another last minute question. Yeah. So I've noticed that most exposés are on pig, poultry and egg farms, and less of them are on slaughterhouses, hatcheries, or cow or sheep or goat farms. Is there a particular reason for this? I think because chickens are the chickens are there's more chickens eaten than any other animal, isn't they? They're the highest number
Yeah,
killed.
I think the last statistics I read about broiler chickens, so meat chickens, was 1.13 billion in the UK a year.
Yeah.
Compare that to any other industry, like
Yeah.
there's just a few, there's like maybe 30, is it like about 30 million pigs are eaten? But compare 30 million to 1.13 billion. It's unbelievable. But yeah, I think that's actually a positive thing, really, because when you speak to people, especially when you also bring in the environmental side, a lot of them are starting to give up beef and lamb because of the terrible environmental impacts. But they are moving on to more eggs and more white meat, so more chickens. So I think it's quite a good thing, really, that they do focus on that. But obviously, we do need to expose the other parts of the industry, which is, while we're exposing the car side of things, we did the duck expose. I think in slaughterhouses as well, because we've now done 2 slaughterhouse investigations. So we did Gressingham duck and we did this one. I think, possibly logistics for the groups as well, because it's probably slightly easier to find, accessible chicken farm, for example, because chicken farms are absolutely everywhere. You probably can't drive a few miles and not pass a chicken farm, and you probably didn't even notice you passed it, because they're not farms, they're factories.
Yeah. And I think with the pigs, the reason for the pigs, because their eyes are so human, and I think people connect more with pigs. But I agree, Kane. I mean, I think there should be more done on cows, and that's why I'm so grateful to the Animal Justice Project for the work that they do. You got any plans for any sheep or goat exposures?
Not currently, but I mean, there was a big goat investigation last year, wasn't there? By Surge. But I think as well, it's so important to expose these side of the industries, but it depends whether you want to try and reach more people, or kind of expose the entire industry, if that makes sense. So if you're exposing chicken, chicken investigations come out quite a lot these days, and like last year especially there was, and the year before there was a lot, including ours. But yeah, I mean, more people, like you can speak to people when you're doing your activism, for example, so many people come up to you and say, oh, I only eat chicken. So I think it's so important for us to focus on those. But yeah, we definitely need to do all of the industries, which is why we choose to do a mixture of the two, really.
You're right, though. It is. I only eat a little bit of meat, and I only eat chicken now. That is the one.
It's always chicken or fish.
Chicken or fish. And then another question from Kane has got all the questions tonight. Loving it. Are hatcheries difficult to break into? I'm sure you wouldn't be able to say that for legal reasons, would you? Or
so what I can say is we don't break laws. So all our investigations are completely legal. And the reason we do that is because all of our findings before they launch in the media, we give over to the authorities, because we want these companies to be prosecuted. So, yeah, but I mean, I imagine hatcheries, chicken farms, they are just factories. Hatcheries especially, it'll be just a factory. It's not going to look a farm in any way, shape or form. It'll be like probably be on an industrial estate, and you won't even realise it's a egg hatchery. So
and just a reminder for Julius as well, or Julicius, I think. I can't pronounce your name, sorry, darling. But I'm going to timestamp it, so you'll be able to watch through and have a look and pick out the bits that you want. But again, massive thank you for all the work that you do. Please give my love to everybody at Animal Justice Project, and hopefully this will get a few more people coming up and doing some campaigns with you. And remember, the links in the description if you want to get involved or you want any leaflets. You had a great Christmas leaflet which I delivered around my neighbourhood last year, which I'm sure my neighbours were really happy about.
Yeah, mine too.
But yeah, I'll say goodbye to everyone. It looks like we're slowing down with the questions, but thanks everyone for watching and tuning in, and thanks again to Ayrton for joining me tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you everyone for your questions as well. We really appreciate the support for Animal Justice Project. As you said earlier, we can't run without support of the public, whether that's, setting up a monthly donation, or whether that's buying some merchandise, or simply sharing our social media posts, signing a petition. We really, really do appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate all the work that you do for the animals. There's so much love for you tonight on the stream. So yeah, thanks, and keep up the good work. Bye, everybody.
Definitely, it's the whole team. It's the whole team.
It's the whole team. Yeah, that's what I meant. All of you, Animal Justice Project. You're amazing.
Thank you so much.